Hi, this is Rebecca,
Katie,
Lindsay,
Shreya,
and this is
Disease 360.
Today you are tuning into our historic epidemic broadcast.
In today's broadcast, we'll be covering two major epidemics, the Antonine Plague and the Spanish flu.
Although they happened more than 1,000 years apart, they were remarkably similar. They both had major effects on the economies of the affected countries, and the doctors had no idea how to treat it.
Also, about 20 to 30% of the populations that got hit with the diseases died.
Okay, so that's 2 or 3 out of every 10 people dead from these devastating diseases.
But even though the responses to these diseases were more similar than different, there were some notable changes over time.
How the Antonine Plague contributed to the end of the Pax Romana and led to the collapse of the Roman Empire was different from how the Spanish flu indirectly led to the end of World War I and a temporarily calmer world. Also, the way the infected were treated in their communities was different for both the Antonine Plague and the Spanish flu.
Stay tuned to Disease 360
to find out the juicy details about the Antonine Plague and the Spanish flu.
To begin, we come with news from the Roman Empire where a pandemic called the Antonine Plague is rapidly spreading.
This plague has been absolutely disastrous, and it's making the entire empire extremely weak.
I've been told that there have been roughly 2,000 deaths a day since the start of the plague, and nearly 30% of the Roman population has been killed by the unfortunate spread of the disease.
I even heard that a guy lost his left arm. He's all right now. Too soon? Anyways.
Earlier, we visited the Roman Empire to speak with a military doctor to tell us more about the pandemic. Let's cut to the clip now.
I'm Lindsay, news reporter for Disease 360. I am here in Rome where the plague spread rapidly in 165 AD to interview a military doctor, Rachel Lee, to find out the latest updates are with the disease. So first, how many people in the army have you treated with the Antonine Plague?
There's way too many to count. The army has definitely been hit the hardest with this plague. I'm surprised that I'm alive right now. I heard that 1 out of every 10 army members have survived this plague. It's very hard to watch all my friends die.
How was the plague first introduced to the Roman Empire?
The only reason the Antonine Plague came to Rome in the first place was because the troops brought it home back when they were returning from campaigns in the Middle East.
How have you been treating the sick?
I've been doing my best with what I know, which is slim to none about this disease. The symptoms seem very familiar, but I can't grasp exactly what it's similar to.
What are the common symptoms?
Some of the common symptoms include fever, rash, stomach cramps, insomnia, and vomiting.
Maybe it's smallpox or measles.
Maybe.
Those are the latest shocking updates. Now let's go over to Shreya, who interviewed someone who had contracted the plague. Over to you, Shreya. Go.
Hi, this is Shreya reporting for Disease 360. I'm also here in Rome talking with a very ill peasant, Gala, to discuss the effects of this plague. So, Gala, how do you feel today?
Not well at all. My head hurts and I can't sleep. And earlier today, I even coughed up some blood.
Oh no, that sounds terrible. How have the other citizens in Rome been treating you?
Not too well. I have been pretty much shunned and left to die.
So how many other people do you know that have been infected?
So many of my family and friends have fell ill. I heard that 10,000 people have been contracting the plague every day. I do not think anyone can stop it from taking over the empire.
So are you saying that you think the Roman Empire is going to fall because of this plague?
It could be one of the reasons. The Roman Empire also has so many other issues that might help it collapse as well. For example, because everyone is getting sick, less people are able to work, meaning there is less food available and less public work projects. Basically, the nation's economy is going down the drain.
How do you feel about the emperor?
Marcus Aurelius? I hate him. I think they named the Antonine Plague after him.
Welcome back to the newsroom. I had to get out of there before that ugly peasant infected me with the plague.
It's unfortunate how things are turning out in Rome. Now over to Katie and Rebecca for the details on the Spanish influenza.
That disease was killer.
Now let's look at the pandemic of 1918, the Spanish flu.
We're coming to you live from the streets of Philadelphia at the peak of the epidemic.
That doesn't sound good. Looks like she's infected.
Philadelphia has had a especially hard time dealing with its influenza. Schools and businesses have been forced to shut down due to the large death and infection rates.
We're getting reports now that even basic services like mail delivery and garbage collection, are hindered, and quarantines of those who are exposed are commonplace. When the first wave of the Spanish flu hit in Kansas, no one expected that it would spread to cities like Philadelphia and even worldwide. Now let's bring local doctor Sophia Asming onto the scene to talk to us about this.
Thanks, guys. I'm a doctor helping to fight this pandemic. So, Dr. Azmi, what can you tell us about this awful disease? No one really expected this outbreak, so in the medical community, we are just confused as you guys are. I am confident we are getting closer every day to find a vaccine and antiviral.
So what do you recommend people do until a way to stay healthy is found?
I'm a big fan of imposing quarantines and shutting down public places. This is necessary because the flu is extremely contagious. It can be transmitted anywhere an infected person coughs, sneezes, and talks. We need to limit the number of people getting exposed since there's a war going on overseas and we have a shortage of health workers.
Maybe if the war wasn't going on, the flu wouldn't have spread so fast. Anyways, doctor, what are the symptoms to be looking for?
Well, be sure to watch for high temperatures, a sore throat, and exhaustion. If you contract the virus and are feeling better, maintain your quarantine because deadly relapses have been known to happen.
Thank you for your input, Dr. Asmi.
We better get out our face masks to protect ourselves.
Well, those won't be helpful. Even though it is a law to wear one, it actually won't help you.
Well, thanks for that reassurance, doctor. We now welcome that poor sick person that we saw earlier today, Sarah.
Hi guys,
Hey, Sarah. How are you feeling today?
I'm alright. It's good that I'm gonna get better any day now, right? Am I right, guys?
You have to keep fighting. They can still find a cure.
I'm actually trying a remedy from someone in Missouri, but I don't think so, Katie.
I heard that some doctors recommend drinking alcohol to prevent an infection. Have you tried this?
No, but I've tried wearing my special amulet to protect me from the disease. That's not working either.
How have doctors tried to help you through your sickness?
When I got sick, I went to an emergency hospital immediately. But I relapsed here, and I'm sick again.
That's unfortunate. So how has this outbreak affected you personally?
My whole family is dead. Everyone I know is dead. It's gotten to the point in my community where they ban traditional public funerals in fear of the pandemic spreading even more. It's been very hard on me emotionally and physically.
I'm sorry to hear about that. Don't worry though, I'm sure this sickness will blow right over. Now let's head back to the
It seems like it was really serious back in 1918 and 1919. What do you think some of the consequences were?
Well, it seems like many of the young and healthy people got sick. Many of the World War I soldiers died from this flu. Perhaps more soldiers were killed because of this epidemic than were killed because of fighting in the actual war.
What does this mean for the rest of the world?
So the influenza spread through trade routes and shipping lines all over the world. Around 20% of the world was infected, and 25% of Americans. Due to a decreased number of workers available, many businesses could not stay open, and many national economies took a blow.
However, the influenza only caused temporary disruption in the U.S. economy, perhaps as a result as reduced consumer confidence, as well as business failures and bankruptcies caused by the deaths of hundreds of thousands of breadwinners and business owners.
Well, that's a wrap on the Spanish flu. Well, I sure am glad we're learning about these diseases a couple thousand years after they happened.
Don't be stupid. The Spanish flu was less than 100 years ago.
Well, no matter how long ago it was, it's interesting how some responses to epidemics stay the same while others have changed dramatically.
Yeah, it's crazy how in both cases the doctors do not have the scientific knowledge to deal with these diseases, and how they both spread on a worldwide scale through warfare and trade.
Both these diseases cause for less people available in the workforce, resulting in less public works, less food available, and catastrophic consequences for each nation's economy.
I was surprised that the Spanish flu didn't cause the countries around the world to fall or decline, like the Antonine Plague caused the Roman Empire to decline and eventually collapse.
Another difference between the two was how the infected people were treated by the public. Like how?
Well, in Rome, the people with the Antonine Plague were shunned and left to die by the healthy people in their communities.
But the people infected by the Spanish flu were kept in quarantine. There were laws establishing rules such as no spitting and the need to wear masks in public.
Thanks for tuning in to our historic epidemic special.
We hope you learned as much as we did.
Tune in next week for our breaking news coverage of the Zika virus and our ongoing analysis of malaria in Africa.
This is Disease 360.